Good morning and welcome to Community Conversations. My name is Cathy Jordan. I'm the chair for the Elmhurst Senior Commission. We hope that you're all safe and healthy in your home. This is our new way of presenting community conversations. With everything that's happened with COVID-19, we thought that we still wanted to present to you educational programs. We as a commission miss you all. I usually see many people in the audience, and we can't wait till we get back to normal. But this is our new normal. Today we will try to pretend that all the chambers are packed with your smiley faces, anticipating a wonderful educational program. We want you to sit back, relax, and have a cup of coffee. The Senior Commission provides information, advice, and advocacy to enhance the quality of life for adults in Elmhurst. We would like to thank Mayor Morley and the City Council for their support for our Senior Commission. Without them, we would not be able to do these wonderful presentations for you or even make recommendations. They really care about seniors. You are only as good as the people that you are working with, and today I have with us helping with this community conversation Heidi Forbush, who is the chair for our Education Committee, and Grayson Haller, who is the commissioner on transportation. So I'd like to thank them as well for all of their help. Let me tell you a little bit about today's program. First of all, the Education Committee disseminates information to residents and city government about resources, current trends, and public policy issues for senior citizens. We want to make sure that you are always informed with good information so that if you come into a crisis, you'll be able to make good decisions. Today, we are going to be presenting something that isn't crisis related but fun related. In 2019, we actually had a community conversation, Vision 2020 focus on the future, presented by Jim Rogers from the Park District. I just want to share with you, our commission since 2010 have been very strong advocates for an adult senior center. And it might be coming to fruition, and it's very exciting. So we thought that with you being shut in, this might give you a little peek at what you have to look forward to when we come out of isolation and back to new normal. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Jim Rogers, the Executive Director of the Elmhurst Park District. He will be providing an inside update of the new Adult Center and other programs provided by the Park District. Thank you for joining us today, and without further ado, Jim, I would like to introduce Jim Rogers, the Executive Director of the Park District. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Cathy Jordan, for that nice introduction, and I'd also like to thank the Elmhurst Senior Citizens Commission for inviting me today. I'm very pleased to once again be here to speak about goings-on at the Park District, as well as the future plans for the Adult Center, which we are looking forward to progressing with. With that, I'll start. My presentation will consist of three parts. First will be a review of this past year, 2020, for the Park District. I'll then shift into an update regarding the Adult Center specifically, and then talk some more about some larger overall plans for the Park District in this year. As with everything that the Park District does, all of our initiatives and programs, plans are built around the district's mission, vision, and values. In particular, our mission to enrich lives while having fun. No doubt for all of us in this past year, that has been more of a challenge than in any time really in our lifetimes. And I would say really in the history of the Park District. So speaking to that, looking at 2020 in review, believe it or not, this past year was the Elmhurst Park District's 100th anniversary. Kind of hard to believe and hard to imagine that it would come with all of these challenges brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. One thing I have noticed for folks who may not be aware of this, so given that the Park District was founded in, its 100th anniversary is in 2020, it was founded in 1920, and we all now have kind of come to be reminded that back in 1918, 19, and 20, the world was suffering a worldwide pandemic. So believe it or not, we are suffering through that again right here and working our way through that. But what I tell folks, and what has kind of been part of our mantra this year, is that the Park District was founded during a pandemic, persevered, and we will continue to do so as we move through this one. With that, as I said, we really weren't able to do a whole lot with the 100th anniversary. We had plans for picnics and events and things like that, but with the impacts, we weren't able to do a whole lot with that. I'll talk about that in a little more in a moment. We also stopped planning for a potential referendum. We were looking at our Vision 2020 plans, as Cathy had mentioned, and just due to all of the circumstances around what was going on in the world, the park board recognized very early on that now was really not the time to be moving ahead with that, so we sort of tabled those plans. And we're still trying to determine, as is everyone, what really the long-term impacts will be of the pandemic for the Park District, and working our way through that. What we do know, as we've now begun moving into 2021, is that it will be a slow and gradual recovery. Directly, kind of wanted to talk about some of the impacts that the pandemic had on the Park District, and really it came about through the Restore Illinois plan, which is a plan put forward by the state of Illinois to try to address the impacts, and it affected the district in a number of ways. We all remember that there were stay-at-home orders in the spring, just about a year ago now. In fact, a year ago now, we were under that stay-at-home order, but in addition, there were capacity limits that can take place in things, as we know, like restaurants and stores and Park District facilities, social distancing requirements, which speak to how close participants in our programs could be to one another, enhanced cleaning and disinfection protocols, which we all think about using hand sanitizer and wipes, but what it also meant for us was we had to provide a level of sanitation greater than we had before, which meant we had to even build time in between some of our programs that we didn't previously have to allow for that to happen. And then the other thing, too, was participants' reluctance or inability to participate in programs and services. Even when certain things could start to be reoffered, we all know that a lot of folks, understandably, were very ill at ease to do that and to be in indoor facilities and things like that. So that really had an impact as well. As a result of that impact, revenues at the Park District were down by about $6 million. And you may not realize that while everyone is aware that you pay property taxes to the Park District like you do to the city and schools and such, but more than half of the revenues that the Park District generates come from non-tax sources. So things like program fees, memberships to, say, Quartz Plus, our fitness facility, or to our pools, rentals of facilities and things like that. And again, with people's inability to participate at previous levels, we took a significant financial impact, as I said, to the tune of about $6 million last year. As a result of both that financial impact and just the pure fact that we could not offer programs and services, we instituted a hiring freeze right away during the start of the pandemic and the stay-at-home orders. Eventually, it led to us having to eliminate 15 full-time positions, which is about 20% of our full-time workforce, and about 340 part-time positions that provided recreational services across the district. We limited all purchases to essential services and supplies, and we also deferred more than $1 million in capital projects last year. As we moved forward, though, through the pandemic and after the stay-at-home order ended and through the restrictions, we looked at ways that we could modify our programs and services and offerings, because that's what we're here for, and we know that now more than ever those types of offerings are important to folks. We always kept the health and safety of our participants and staff first. Our staff worked from home where possible. We always followed the Restore Illinois Plan guidelines, and as I said, we looked at modifying our events, our programs, and our facility operations, and I'll speak in some more detail about those in a moment. Again, not the best sounding news, obviously a challenging year for everyone in Elmhurst, everyone really worldwide. But it was not, but that didn't mean it was a year that the Park District did not do things and things didn't happen. In particular, we were very excited to dedicate Centennial Park, which is Elmhurst's first new park in more than 3 decades. It's the property and building on the site of the former Redeemer Center. And we're very excited. I mentioned that the district 100 years ago was founded during a pandemic, but it was founded around the purchase and development of Wilder Park, Elmhurst's first park. And so we're very excited to kick off the Elmhurst Park District's second century with the opening of a brand new park. So the board christened that park last summer. As you can see in the photo here, they're all wearing their masks and they are socially distanced as required. But we were very, very excited about that. And that park and location will play into a number of the things I'll be talking about during my presentation. In addition, then, other things that we did last year was we developed and continually updated comprehensive COVID-19 reopening and operating plans, because as you know, things were changing very, very rapidly all the time as to how many participants we could have, social distancing requirements, cleaning protocols were just constantly changing, and so it was a process of continuing to modify those as necessary. The other thing we tried to do is we wanted to make sure that we stayed in touch with the community and stayed engaged to understand what their needs were. So we were very pleased during the course of the year, we conducted what was called a community readiness survey, and it really was that, asking folks if they were ready to participate in programs and the services that we offered. And as you might imagine, the feedback that we got was folks generally weren't really ready to be indoors at programs back amongst people, but they were more than ready to be out in the parks and take advantage of the parks. And that's one of the things that we really took the most amount of pride in the last year, is that the parks were there for folks. And I think we all always knew that they were important, but I think now more than ever, when people needed that for physical exercise, but just as much for what it provided for folks' mental health, the ability to get outside, get some fresh air, maybe walk with one of your household members without your masks on for a few minutes, and just really enjoy the beauty of nature and the beauty of the outdoors. So we were very pleased to be able to provide that and have that there throughout the year. In addition, then, when we were able to restart programs as summer came, we relaunched what we kind of described as our core programming, so programs for early childhood, meaning little children, some senior programming, our summer camp programs, gymnastics, dance, and sports, and really kind of some of our biggest program areas where we knew that the children needed the opportunity to recreate, as well as seniors, but also where parents needed some of that respite too. If they could have their child be in a sports program or be in a camp program, it could allow them either just some of that mental health respite, or it could allow for them to work, as we know folks were working from home so much as well. In addition, as we've seen with all sorts of offerings and services, like Cathy mentioned, even for these presentations, we implemented virtual programming in a number of areas, in particular our early childhood programs for little ones, some of our dance and gymnastics programs, and we also expanded our touchless registration options, because again, with our community center not being open, we weren't able to do face-to-face registration and customer service, but we expanded our online options. The photo you see here above me or behind me is one of our dance classes, just getting started, a couple of the participants coming in and speaking to their dance instructor from the studio there. In addition, we undertook a few things in the parks as well. One of the challenges we all know that pandemic or not has not changed in Elmhurst is we always have challenges with water and too much water and where does it go, and the parks are not immune from that. So we were very pleased to complete drainage improvements and repairs at seven different park sites. None of these were big, massive projects, so you wouldn't really be aware of them, except for if that's one of those parks you spend time in. One of the examples we give at the kind of north central part of Wilder Park, we've always had a low spot that held water, and a lot of times in some of the spring and summer events that took place there, like Art in the Park, we'd kind of have some swampy areas. So that's one example, but at 6 other sites as well where we were able to go through and make some improvements there. And again, kind of one of those, that example of taking lemons and making lemonade. With the parks not being early on quite as heavily used, it was a perfect time for us to go out into the parks and make these improvements. Next, then, we also, at Quartz Plus, our indoor fitness facility, we also made a number of adaptations there initially when folks were not able to be inside the building. They were able to be outside and exercising. So we offered outdoor group exercise classes. The picture on the left on the screen there is a class taking place actually in a parking lot at Quartz Plus. We had about 4 or 5 different locations, whether it be in parking lots or some of the grassy areas that programs took place. And then the picture on the right there is how, once we were able to move inside, we adapted the layout for increased safety and health of our participants. You see there you see some little yellow dots on the floor. Those were those kind of circles we've all gotten used to, of make this your spot, and then you're safely socially distanced from other participants in a group exercise class. Another one of those areas, speaking of kind of lemons and making lemonade, was golf. Golf throughout the country had a banner year in 2020. It was one of the first things that was able to reopen, and the reason why it was able to reopen early on was because it is an activity that very much allows for social distancing. It's easy to golf and keep 6 foot of distance or more from your playing partners, and so it really was a boom year for us at Sugar Creek Golf Course, one of the best we've had in a number of years. But that was also another example example of moving to things virtually and online, where we implemented an online reservation system and payment system. And so in years past, you would come to any golf course, you would come to the golf course, go inside the clubhouse, go to the front counter, pay for your round of golf, and then head to the first tee. Well, now with the requirements that folks not be in buildings, you were able to do all of that online. So you just made your online reservation, paid online with your credit card, drove to the course, parked in the parking lot, and walked right up to the first tee. And people really, really took advantage of it. One of the things we joked about, too, is with so many folks working, well, I like to say working from home, it seems like people had a lot of time to sneak out in the afternoon and play a few rounds of golf. So that was very beneficial for the Park District as well. I'd like to shift gears now a little bit and talk about the Adult Center, which I know is always of primary importance and interest to the Senior Commission. With that, I'm pleased to continue to inform the Commission and those watching that we are moving ahead with our plans for the Adult Center. In particular, these images that you see on the screen are some of the conceptual ideas for what a new Adult Center could provide. As you know, the Park District for many decades has provided services for seniors and adults at the Abbey on St. Charles Road. Just earlier this year, just about 2 months ago, we finalized an agreement with the Elmhurst School District 205, in which we have now sold the Abbey property to the school district. And that's going to have a number of benefits for the community. It's really a tremendous example of intergovernmental cooperation. The school district is using funds from their recently passed referendum to buy the property, and that was always part of their referendum to acquire a site for a permanent home. The school district currently rents a building to offer transition services, and transition services are programs for young adults who are older than high school age but are still able to receive services from the school district to help them as they adapt to life as an adult. So as I said, they rent a facility in town now and have always been looking for a permanent home. So they will now move their permanent home for the transition center to the Abbey building and the Abbey site. It's a terrific location, kind of middle of town, next to York High School, where that program will be able to take advantage of a lot of the services offered at York High School as well. With that, of course, the question is, well, what about senior programs and services right now? We are temporarily moving senior programs, I should say, to the Wilder Mansion during this interim period between the Abbey and our new Adult Center, and those are ongoing even as we speak right now. So we kind of determined that we had been in discussions with the school district for quite some time about the possibility of this arrangement, and realized with this pandemic kind of restricting what can go on now for all of us, and particularly seniors before the vaccine came about, that now is really a time to take advantage of that, and we're excited to be moving ahead with that. So now then, moving on to the new Adult Center, the picture you see here is an overhead drawing of what everyone knows formerly as the Redeemer Center. That building is shown to the left part of the picture, and then to the right there is open space on that site. The Park District bought that site a couple of years ago, and we are excited. I'll talk in a number of ways about how it will be used, but our plans are to remodel the nearly 12,000 square foot building to serve as the new Adult Center. To give you an idea, our former senior center, the Abbey, was about 5,000 square feet. So this building alone will be about 2.5 times the size that the Abbey was. So our plans for the building, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be abating any hazardous materials in the building. We'll be remodeling the restrooms for ADA accessibility. We'll be installing new exterior doors, painting the interior, improving the kitchen, adding a fire protection system, and then repaving the parking lot and replacing all of the sidewalks on the site. And I'm pleased to let you all know that just 3 weeks ago, the Park Board approved an architectural and engineering contract with a firm called Dewberry Architects that's located actually just down the street here in downtown Elmhurst, and we've done a number of projects with them, and they'll be working with us on these plans. Then, of course, everyone wants to know what does the timing look like. So, as I said, we just engaged the firm about 3 weeks ago. They'll be engaged in the design process for about the next 6 months, which will get us to fall. And then construction is slated to take place from about October to May next spring. And then we'll look forward to the grand opening of the new Adult Center in May or June of next year. So we're very, very excited about that. And as I said, want to reiterate that the Wilder Mansion will be serving as the interim home for senior senior programs during this transition period, and we've already received some nice response from that. Shifting then, in addition to the Adult Center, the district has many plans for 2021. Really, where the year 2020 last year was a year, we believe, of kind of resilience for the Park District, this coming year is one of transition for us. The impacts of the pandemic are many, which I've spoken about, but we are excited to move forward as we work our way out of it. As we know, folks are receiving the vaccine now, and we're starting to work our way through that. Specifically, we will continue, as I noted earlier, to update and implement our COVID reopening plans. As again, things continue to shift, we're able to do more in little bits and pieces, and we will continue to make those adjustments as we go forward. We're also going to continue to engage the community. That's always been at the core of everything that the Park District does. So we will be reaching out to the community to find out what we can offer in 2021, but then, as I've noted here, even beyond that, over the course of the next 3 years, we had the Vision 2020 plans in place, of which the Adult Center was one of the main components, and we're pursuing that. But now we need to step back and talk to the community about, as we come into this, I think Cathy mentioned before, this new normal, and we're kind of post-pandemic, what does the community want from its Park District as we move into the next few years? So we're excited about moving forward with that. In addition, the Park District, like many organizations, we are looking to become a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive organization. That will involve a tremendous amount of feedback, both from our staff and the community, but we are looking forward to that as well. Now, I want to jump back kind of to the former Redeemer site, because that site is actually 2 projects for the Park District over the next couple of years. One is the development of the Adult Center, which I mentioned, but in addition, that grassy area shown here in the bottom right of this picture is going to be the site of that newest park, Centennial Park. Right now, it's just wide open green space, but we are very excited to get feedback from the community and look forward to developing that as a park, as a neighborhood park. The reason why we were so excited to acquire this site, it again had 2 reasons. One, we thought it could be the home for the new Adult Center, bigger, better, larger Adult Center, but also this neighborhood, which is approximately near the corner of York and St. Charles Road, kind of heading east and north from there. There are no neighborhood parks in that neighborhood whatsoever, so no playgrounds, nowhere for children or parents to take their children and play. So we're very excited that the eastern or part of the site here will serve as a neighborhood park. And to that effect, the board at that same meeting just a couple of weeks ago, we hired a landscape architecture firm that's going to be working with us on the design and development of that site, as well as the public feedback. And so I'm pleased to note here that we will be having an open house on Thursday, April 22nd, right on the site. We're excited to do that. We've done it before with some of our park planning. There's nothing better than asking folks what they'd like to see in a park when they're standing right there in the park. But particularly in this case, with it being a brand new site, well, there's 2 advantages. One, it's a brand new site that folks haven't really spent time at, but 2, with still the existing limitations of COVID-19, we wouldn't necessarily want to bring people to a community meeting and come inside, but we can certainly be at a park and stand outside and ask for folks' input and get their ideas. So we're very excited about doing that. I want to mention too, I believe I mentioned earlier that we're taking the proceeds from the sale of the Abbey and basically splitting those funds in half, where half will go towards the development of the Adult Center and half will go towards the development of Centennial Park. So we kind of like to joke that we're taking the dollars from the sale of the Abbey and just carrying them down the street, down St. Charles Road, from the Abbey across York Road to this site, and excited to invest those dollars. And really, it's nice too, because it's, again, that example of intergovernmental cooperation where the Park District won't have to raise taxes or apply additional fees to develop this site. Instead, it's really the referendum that the community already approved for the school district funding that purchase, and then we'll take the dollars and move them right down the block. So we're very much looking forward to that. In addition, another one of our major initiatives for the year, let me make sure my clicker's working here. There we go. There's the Centennial Park open house highlighted. One of our other major plans for the year is the expansion of Gloss Park and the demolition of the medical building there on Palmer Drive. As we know, that medical building has been there for many, many decades. Everyone sees it as they drive on the underpass there. The Park District bought the building a few years back, and we've been working on plans and funding to look to take that building down. So we're very excited that that will occur in 2021. And in addition, then, if you're not exactly aware, that site, and the reason why the Park District was excited to purchase it, is immediately adjacent to Gloss Park in downtown Elmhurst. And so we will be taking the building down and expanding Gloss Park. And a couple of the really neat components of that are, one, as we all know, there's been a lot of residential development in downtown Elmhurst, apartments, condominium buildings, and things like that, and that have brought in, we believe, dozens, if not hundreds, of new residents to the community in a tight area in downtown. And what better way than to preserve some of this downtown area as open space and kind of provide, again, this additional open space as respite for folks who live in the downtown area, and certainly anyone in the community. But even better than that, one of the other things that happens is when there's new development in the community, like these condominium and apartment buildings, the developers are required to pay impact fees to both the school district and the Park District because of the influx of new residents that will be coming in and requiring services, whether it be in the schools or through the Park District. And what the Park District has done is, over the course of about the last 5 years, we have set aside all of the impact fees we've received from the downtown developments to a total of almost, I want to say, yeah, to the tune of almost $600,000. And we've set all that aside and reserved it specifically for the development of this site, the demolition of the building and the development of the site. Kind of that notion of taking the dollars that were generated from the downtown to develop this park in the downtown. And again, the other added bonus to that, benefit to that, I should say, is we're not using tax dollars, resident tax dollars, and we're not raising fees to develop this as well. So that site as well, we're also excited that we will be holding an open house at Gloss Memorial Park as well on Monday, May 3rd, again, outside. We will have rain locations for both of these, but look for more details on the Park District's website. But really excited to get community feedback, and again, kind of that, again, continuing to take lemons and make lemonade of having an outdoor planning meeting right in the park where people are right there and can offer their ideas. So we're very, very pleased about that. In addition to the plans for some of the buildings and the parks and facilities, in terms of our programming, we'll be expanding our early childhood and parent-childhood programming in the areas of sports, gymnastics, dance, etc. We're also expanding our outdoor programming opportunities, obviously to be able to offer more during the pandemic, but also recognizing that we believe there's kind of been a resurgence in folks' interest in doing more outside, and that there will still be some, I think, a gradual move back indoors to things. I don't think that once folks are, even once folks are vaccinated, I don't think there's that immediate, yes, I'm completely comfortable to be in a big crowd of people. So we'll be looking at that, and then also looking to expand our programming for seniors and adults, first as we're in the Wilder Mansion, and then transitioning into the new adult center. Next then, at Quartz Plus, our indoor health and fitness facility, we will be continuing to expand our virtual offerings, our online classes and offerings. That is a trend, like some of the ones I mentioned with golf, that we believe is not going away in the fitness industry. People have really come to like having the option of, say, taking a group exercise class. I can come to Quartz Plus and take the class, or if I'm having one of those days where my schedule is too tight, I can take that same class, but I can do it online. So we'll be looking at some expansion there, and we'll be really focusing on our core offerings at Quartz Plus, things like the fitness floor and the ability to work out there, the lap pool, tennis, which again is another activity that has been very, very strong as things were able to reopen as the year restarted, because again, when you think of tennis, it's an activity that you can very easily be socially distanced, and so it's been very, very, very popular, and we look to that continuing during the course of the year. And then finally, looking at new ways to utilize some of the spaces in Quartz Plus. Again, we believe that people's take on fitness and how they will use a health club will shift a little bit, and so we'll be looking at some ways to explore new ways to use spaces there and garner feedback from our members as we do that. And with that, again, I want to thank the Senior Commission very much for giving me this opportunity. I'm very excited to present the plans for the Park District, in particular the Adult Center, and perhaps the next time I'm here talking to you, the Adult Center will be open and we'll all be enjoying it. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Jim Rogers for that informative presentation that he gave us on the update for the Adult Center and all of the programs that the Park District provides. In particular, it's so hard and challenging, and we want to say hats off to the staff and the Park Board for adapting to all those changes, as we all have adapted to. We will be having another new normal community conversation, hopefully in May, from the DuPage Forest Preserve Department. So look forward to that, because hopefully that will be another situation where if you've been inside, it'll give you opportunities to go outside. I'd also like to share some information from our Metropolitan Family Services that's actually housed here in the City Hall. And they have information for homebound seniors who would like to receive the COVID-19 vaccine and get registered. I'm going to give you the person's name to contact and that phone number, so in case you're homebound and you cannot get out, this should be very helpful to you. Nicole Reedy, and the phone number is 312-235-9393. So don't feel like you don't have any help. They will be reaching out and helping you in any way they can to make sure that you get those vaccines. I always like to end my program with a quote, and I thought today's was fitting from Sammy Sosa. He's the former right fielder for Chicago Cubs. There are three types of players: those who make it happen, those who watch it happen, and those who wondered what happened. The Commission wants to make sure that not only the Commission, but the community make sure that this Adult Center happens and help the Park District. So with that, make it a good day. Thank you for participating in our new normal, and we hope to see you in May. Take care.